Yeah, now we'll shift our focus from economic agenda to more into the cultural. Let us spend some time on Hindutva, right? Like, specifically, what is the role of Hindutva in the constitutional rule of law, or what is the role of Hindutva, specifically the attacks on Dalits and Muslims?
See, I think at the outset, I'd like to just say that, we need to be very, very clear when we talk about the politics of Hindutva, is to understand what Hindutva is. Hindutva is not Hindu religion, okay? Hindutva is a very clever manipulation and a construct, which is it's a modern construct, it's not traditional. It's a modern construct which is actually a proto-fascist construct, which is trying to use certain structural issues which have been legitimized by the caste structure within Hindu religion. However, it seeks to actually legitimize and to bring about a theocratic state. Now that theocratic state, according to the proponents of Hindutva, needs to be not just theocratic but needs to be iniquitous. It needs to be structured so that it's a supremacist state where a certain section of Indians, upper caste Hindus, would have greater legitimacy and right to citizenship. Now, I'm not saying this, the documents of the proponents of Hindutva themselves say it. If you look at three major documents, one is We or Our Nationhood Defined by Golwalkar, second is Bunch of Thoughts, and third is the 10-day diary of B.S. Munje. Now, B.S. Munje's diary is less talked about. The first two documents are talked about more because the We or Our Nationhood Defined by Golwalkar has been removed by the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh from their website. Bunch of Thoughts is still there. Bunch of Thoughts clearly says that they want to overthrow the constitution and want to bring in the Manusmriti.
Yeah.
The Bunch of Thoughts also said that the three internal enemies of the nation, the Hindu nation, are Muslims, Christians and communists. So that's all there for you to see. And B.S. Munje says in his diary, after returning to India in 1934, after meeting Mussolini in Rome and after visiting the fascist camps, military camps, that the best way to create domination in Indian society is to create the fear of death. The fear of death. And he mentions this after visiting the partition riots in Islampur, Bihar, that a Muslim came cringing to him in a skull cap saying that, Huzur, aap हमें छोड़ दीजिए, जान से मारना छोड़ दीजिए, हम हिंदू बन के रहेंगे. Now this is documented. So the use of violence, the use of lynching, the use of intimidation is integral to this proto-fascist project. And the project is to take away the equality of citizenship and the non-discrimination contained in our constitution, which was given by Baba Saheb Ambedkar and through a lot of discussion with other political leaders, and to actually bring in a iniquitous Hindu theocratic state. That is Hindutva.
Okay.
Violence is integral to this politics.
Yeah, if you look at the power of RSS, right? RSS has, grown from Nagpur to Delhi. They have developed massive organizations, thousands of organizations, number one. They also were successful in spreading their cultural nationalism ideology. Number three is they also captured the political power, right? So now do you think Hindutva will transform into a neo-fascist situation, or?
I think we already have a proto-fascist situation where you have fascists in positions of constitutional power. Already you have that. The point is that you still have a certain checks and balances contained within the structures that exist in the unfinished business of Indian democracy. So we don't have complete fascism yet. Otherwise I would not be talking to you. We would not be having this conversation. But we have people who actually do not believe in the fundamentals of the Indian constitution, holding very powerful positions in the central government and in 21 states. So you're right that the cultural and cultural supremacist project, I won't call it cultural nationalist project, I think it's a cultural supremacist project of the RSS has been many, many years coming. 1925 was when they were established. The Bhosla military academies where they militarized youth, the Shishu Mandirs and the Ekal Vidyalayas through which they created a consciousness which is inegalitarian, through the children who go through those schools. The shakhas, where they teach a kind of history that tells you that Takshila is Nalanda and Nalanda is Takshila, and in the times of the Mahabharata you had stem cell research. This sort of irrationality is something that is fed in an indoctrinated way in these schools and in these cultural institutions and the military institutions. So long before they captured political power, they were seeking to increase their cultural space, which they did. And the pushback can only happen if there is a cultural, social, political pushback all at the same time. It cannot be just political or just cultural or just social.
So you have presented your critique on Hindutva, but as a civil rights activist, right? So what are the possible ways to stop this spread of Hindutva project?
See, I think one of the strongest ways to do so is to actually articulate our struggles in terms of saving the constitutional dream. The Constitution is a document, I think, around which many forces in India can rally. Today, I think India needs all the various movements, and in the midst of all the gloom and doom, I'd like to just say that people are fighting in every district on many issues. It's not as if the fight is not on. The fight is on, the resistance is on. It's a very vibrant resistance. But what I think the need of the hour is of alliance building. So for instance, forest rights workers and Adivasis and forest workers are fighting the way there's a complete takeover of the Forest Rights Act and the rights that they pushed for and fought for 20, 30, 40 years. Dalits are fighting very hard to regain and to push further Dalit rights struggles. Labor, unions are fighting hard to retain their hold on the labor rights. Today 93% of India's workforce is in the informal sector. You have huge gender violence against girls and women. And of course the religious minorities are the first that are under attack. Now it's very important that all these struggles somehow are able to articulate themselves, build alliances under the banner of saving the constitution. Because eventually what this regime wants to do is to overturn the constitution. Today it is in power in the center and in 21 states. It's important therefore that this party, the RSS, BJP is just the parliamentary front, does not capture state power in any other state and is actually pushed back from state power. It's very critical.
I was just before, today I had a conversation with Arvini Rajendra Babu, who is a writer, right, also. So we are, in 2019, we are having these new Lok Sabha elections are upcoming, right? And the people who are involved in the people's movement, some people are interested in electoral politics, some may not be. But as a civil rights activist, right, or a social activist, what kind of tactical strategy need to be adopted in the upcoming Lok Sabha election?
If we can ground the coming elections, not just the Lok Sabha, there are 5 state elections this year. I think they're equally important. I think by concentrating only on Lok Sabha, we'll be making a mistake. Karnataka is happening right now, but every election this year, whether it's Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, each one of them is important. I think we need to ground the campaign around these elections around the fundamental freedoms that have been taken away. That we need to articulate the assault on labor rights, forest rights, Adivasi rights, gender rights, minority rights, constitutional rights, and then ensure that even the political opposition rallies around those issues. Because unless and until we are able to foreground the entire gamut of civil liberties that have been attacked by this regime, we will not be able to build the alliance that we are looking for even electorally.
Yeah, I mean, see, it's a devil's advocate. See, in any parliamentary politics, opposition has a bigger role to question the establishment, to play a watchdog role. But if you look at do you think Congress party as an opposition, was it able to play its effective role or not?
I would say yes and no, no and yes. You know, because there's always a feeling that a civil rights activist will have, because we are always going to be on the other side. That we are critiques of regimes, right? So we will never be satisfied with the way the opposition deals with certain issues. and particularly on the issue of constitutionalism and secularism, we feel that often the opposition, not just the Congress, many sections of the opposition, we have regional parties, right? We have Samajwadi, we have BSP, we have Trinamool, we have the left, organized left. All of them sometimes are wanting in how ferociously and fiercely they fight for the fundamental freedoms compared to what we think we fight. So that critique remains. Having said that, I believe that we are not necessarily going to step into electoral politics tomorrow. So today what we must do is to foreground the issues vociferously, compelling the political opposition to raise it. Some of the signs of hope that I see of the last 6 months to 1 year is, for instance, see an election that happened in Gujarat where Jignesh Mevani won. I see it as a hopeful sign that a young person who's a lawyer by profession, whose clarity on issues of the social structure and inequality are very, very clear, is able to take the plunge. Now, it may not be possible every time. It may not be, but I think it's important to dwell on